Hello once again, after a long period of time. Let me just say that this monologue is purely my opinion, and I say it because I truly believe that we still have free speech in this country. But sadly, in today's world, there is no guarantee that you'll be free when you speak it. So that's a risk I will have to take. And I'll leave a link under more in the descriptions to this video to a high-profile personality who speaks the truth for all of us, I believe. Now, I've been absent for some time now because of a domestic situation and also a readjustment of friends, some of whom turned out to be not quite so friendly after all. And it's always a surprise to me because I guess that's down to my naivety and probably my gullibility. There you go, that's life. And I also have a problem with, I just taken a VPN, which is a virtual private network. Originally I took that to save myself hassle, but apparently governments can intervene into that anyway. And some things on my phone and my computer work and others do not, but I will eventually try to cure that, hopefully. Can't guarantee that. And in this life, in my humble opinion, when things get too much, I tend to retreat into myself and I shut everyone out. It's something I do to survive the onslaught of a very, very unfair and cruel world. And I'm told by many people that, oh, you're running away. But I'm not. I'm just coping the only way I know how to. However, I'm not slain, and I will lay me down and bleed a little bit, and then I'll rise and start again. Well, the election has passed, and I think we all knew that Labour would win with Keir Starmer, an ex-lawyer with a not-so-good past, it seems. Apparently he had negative dealings in the Julian Assange case regarding the Ecuadorian embassy and a very vague connection to Jimmy Savile, but I'll leave you to research that because it may not be true. And with our new fascist leader, we have to be careful of what we say, especially little people like me. Those with a high profile life tend to be left alone because they are high profile people and they've got access to mainstream media and TV. I don't. And us small people don't tend to make much noise. Consequently, the little unknown man is jailed with impunity. It's a classic case of bullying. And in my experience, bullies are eventually defeated by maybe a David with a sling. I don't know. And Starmer is now in charge of the bus, and in my humble opinion, we are going to get, I hope we don't, but it seems that way, we're going to get 5 or even 10 years of hard labour. Most of us won't be there after that amount of time. And we may even return to the EU. Can you believe that? And I'm guessing we'll join just as it all collapses in chaos, along with Ukraine. Watching the BBC, and I will tell you that Russia is losing this war in Ukraine. It's a load of absolute nonsense. It's not going to happen. But, as I've always said before, time will tell. And this government's honeymoon period will not last for long, that's for sure. And Starmer is not handling the situation in Britain very well at all. In fact, we're heading for a totalitarian regime under the heavily policing that will undoubtedly come from his warnings of the far right, which, by the way, also includes peaceful protesters who are fed up with illegal immigration and want changes to be made urgently. Just a few days ago, we had 700 boat people in one day, and we're told that the government cannot cope with it. Oh, really? The most simplest way to stop them coming is to stop the handouts that we collectively pay through taxes. Stop all the handouts, and they won't come. Simple as that. And unfortunately, the laws that have been drawn up favour some but not others. And in a two-tier policing system, someone always suffers, and it's usually the more tolerant that get picked on. And regardless of what the mainstream media may say, the British people are the most tolerant in Europe, if not the whole world. Even though we are saddled with the empire curse brought about by the greed and exploitation of our forefathers, we're not to blame for that. And I'm amazed there is a new law on hate crimes, especially because hate is a very subjective word. You know, especially when teenagers hate their parents on a regular basis, daily. Oh, I hate you because you've done that. And in my humble opinion, hate speech laws would simply introduce a means to censor unpopular opinions, maybe like mine. A bit like the Soviet Union during the Iron Curtain period. Now, in today's Britain, it is against the law to discriminate against anyone because of your age, your gender, whether you're married or in a civil partnership, being pregnant, being disabled, race, religion, sex orientation. They are all protected characteristics in Britain today, and many people flourish under those laws. But 8-year-old white girls dancing at a school do not have protected characteristics, but a black 17-year-old with random parents does. The world's gone mad, and the law needs to be balanced to include everyone, not just protected groups. And most of all, we need protection from authoritarian narcissists, and some of them are psychopaths who want to totally control us and are looking for the least provocation to enforce their laws on the little man. And just remember that Keir Starmer took the knee quite a while back actually. He took the knee, you remember? And he couldn't even define a woman when he was asked. Is that someone who should be in charge of our country? I don't think so. And I sincerely hope he is deposed of his title very, very soon. And going back to Starmer's threats, let's go back in time to the 1980s and the miners' strike between Arthur Scargill and Margaret Thatcher. The then pickets were blamed for inciting violence, and it was vividly recorded on TV. However, on closer inspection, it was found that they had agent provocateurs, and they were to blame and came back from the back of the crowd. They encouraged the violence, stirred up the crowd, and disappeared the moment the police appeared with batons. And this will undoubtedly happen once again, and people will be arrested. And there is a very ancient rule of thumb called the Hegelian dialect operation, and it goes like this: those in power can and will create the problem, then they control the response, and then they offer the solution. And the Hegelian operation has happened many times, and the most famous to date was Operation Jibby Jab. I'm sure you know what I mean. The problem was created, the response was massive control aided by mainstream media and the very keen celebrities, and the solution was quite evident, and people readily queued up to receive it, including all of my family and my neighbours, and 70% of the population. Moving on. A society that keeps cures a secret so they can continue to sell medication for huge profits is not a real society, but a huge mental asylum run by the insane who keep doing the same thing and hoping for a different outcome. Are you aware that 9 million men and women and hundreds of thousands of children die from hunger every year on this planet? And did you know there's a medication for that? Yeah, it's called food. It works straight away and has no side effects whatsoever. If we can distribute medical procedures globally, then we can surely distribute food just as easily. But I guess there's no profit in it, so it doesn't happen. And something is definitely rotten in the state of Denmark, and corruption is everywhere. Make no mistake about that. Who are the real rulers of our Western democracies? The faceless marionettes pulling the strings with their greedy little fingers. Did you watch the Olympic opening ceremony in Paris? I shake my head in disbelief. It was unbelievable. Talk about a society moving away from anything regarding religion. Let me just say that I'm not a particular religious person, but I still hold on to Christian principles, unlike the blasphemous spectacle we witnessed in Paris. It just resembled a scene from hell inside a broken, immoral, degenerate society on the edge of collapse. And also, how can Olympic Games be played without the largest country in the world? What guilt do those athletes have other than their personal ambitions of being Russian? And yet one country in the Middle East is committing a genocide and they are allowed to compete. What hypocrisy! And it will be with all our athletes who have been to the Olympics. They know it's a hollow victory for them because they know in their hearts they were not perhaps the best in the world. And I know it's not fashionable to be religious or hold those outdated ideas, but I am truly convinced that if a prophet emerged, let's call him Jesus or Muhammad or Brian, if he came today, he would be pilloried on social media and publicly shamed for spreading misinformation and no doubt be incarcerated in a high security prison, and the key would be thrown away. And our society is very good at ostracising those who are different or don't conform. And it was very evident during lockdown. It was even suggested that non-conformers should be put into camps or refused medical help. How Christian is that? And who thought of that in the first place? And a thought to dwell on, I'm sure, and if I can make people think, then in my book that is a good idea. Just think about what I'm saying. You don't have to believe it. In fact, you might think I'm a nutcase. The group think we've been led into is extremely dangerous and just gives the so-called leaders the power they desire to rustle up the sheep the majority of people have become. Thank you for listening for a very disillusioned man. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.